Hey everyone, in this video I want to talk about why you should never derive all your meaning from your romantic relationships. This is a mistake that unfortunately a lot of people make, and the biggest problem with this is that when you place all your meaning into a romantic relationship, if that relationship ends up ending, it will destroy you. I don't just mean make you sad, I mean it will literally feel like it's your world crumbling apart because of that person leaving you. So do not make the mistake of deriving all your meaning from romantic relationships. The proper thing to do is to derive your meaning from as many different aspects of life as possible. So you derive some meaning from your passions, your hobbies, the things you enjoy doing, some meaning from your family or your relationships with your family members and your friends and your romantic relationships, just not all of your meaning from them. And then some meaning from your career, your purpose in life, that sort of thing. You want to distribute it, because if you derive all of your meaning from your romantic relationships, well, here's the thing. We know that almost all of them will end at some point, because for the most part, it is very difficult to find someone that you will stay with your entire life. I mean, most of us know that. We can usually tell after we've met someone and dated them for a few months, and even after we've entered into a relationship, we can normally kind of feel whether or not we're going to spend our life with that person. It's just something we're somewhat aware of in the back of our mind, even if we kind of ignore it to some extent. We'll usually know. So if the relationship is going to end, do not place all your meaning into it. The healthy thing to do is, like I said, get it from as many different things as possible. Because if you derive all your meaning from that relationship, you could very well fall into depression once it ends. And Mark Manson had a very cool way, or not cool should I say, but I like the way he defines depression. He basically defines depression as kind of feeling like you can't derive meaning from anything in life. Kind of like it's difficult for you to feel emotions anymore. That's why people who are depressed struggle to even get out of bed in the first place, because they feel like there's no meaning in anything they do. So why do they even want to start their day in the first place? So you do not want to fall into depression. And if you place all your meaning into your relationship, you probably will. Because once the relationship ends, guess what? All your meaning went with it. So now you're not going to feel like life has any meaning behind it anymore. You're not going to feel like you should do anything, because the very thing that you derived all your meaning from is no longer in your life. And that's the biggest problem with doing this. So do not make that mistake. Distribute your meaning to as many different aspects of life. You can place a lot of it in your relationships, but just don't place all of it. I would even kind of warn you against placing most of it in your romantic relationships, but everyone's different. You know what you can tolerate. It's just, you have to place importance on many different aspects of life. You do not want to place all your meaning in one basket. It's not a good thing. You don't want to end up in that place where after it ends, you feel completely devastated because all your meaning goes with it. And the healthy thing is when people don't place all their meaning in their romantic relationships, so when they end up falling apart at some point or just ending, they're not going to be depressed afterwards. They're not going to be devastated. Sure, they'll be hurt, they'll be sad, but there's a huge difference between sadness and depression. So sadness is a lot easier to get over because it's just not feeling great. But depression is where you don't really feel anything at all. That takes a lot more work to get out of. So in the end, just distribute your meaning to as many different aspects of life as possible, and never make the mistake of deriving all of it from your romantic partners. Just don't do that. Not to mention the neediness behind doing that could very well lead to your relationship ending, and you don't want that to happen if you're doing that for obvious reasons, as I already stated. So just don't do that from the beginning. Avoid it as much as possible. Anyway, I hope this video helped you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Arrivederci.